So this is our house hunting and hacking group where we like to unlock the power of real estate together. We meet on second and fourth Tuesdays online, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And this is our group of admins, myself, Genevieve Henderson. I'm a loan advisor with American Pacific Mortgage. And John Nichols is our realtor and investor expert, as he personally invests in lots of different real estates in different states. And then we have Amber Zamudio. She's our independent insurance specialist. And she is actually doing our presentation this evening, which is LegalShield, the landlord's must-have. And so Amber Zamudio is our presenter. And I am going to stop sharing my screen and let her take over.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We're really excited to have you with us. And we are going to just pop right in here and get started. Oh, forgive me 1 second here. I've got my. Oh, it's not sharing. Sorry, 1 second here. Not sharing. There we go. There we go. All right. So today I will be presenting for you guys on LegalShield, which is a landlord's must-have. Recently, I came into a need for LegalShield myself, and it's been both a lifesaver and a real eye-opener. And I'm excited to kind of go over some of the basics with you about LegalShield and my experience with it, how it's benefited me, and the benefits that I've had out of it. I am an insurance broker. I do shop a variety of carriers in order to offer my clients the best insurance policies. But along with insurance, I do offer some supplemental type products like LegalShield. I do work with a lot of people who are purchasing rental properties and are landlords already. Also, I work with a lot of tenants. And so LegalShield is a product that really makes sense for insurance, the insurance world. There's a lot of litigation surrounding insurance. And so these types of products are excellent for my type of clients. I'm also a small business owner, owning the insurance agency. And just recently, I am an ex-landlord. I live in Colorado Springs, and I'm going to kind of tell you guys a little bit about that experience and how LegalShield has helped me with my journey in that area. So the importance of legal guidance. There are a lot of legal challenges. Picture a landlord dealing with a lease dispute, a tenant facing an eviction notice, or property damage, raising the questions about who's responsible. These are just a few examples of the legal challenges that landlords, tenants, and people who own property commonly encounter. Unfortunately, these issues are not isolated incidents, but rather recurring obstacles in the realm of property rent. Some of these include lease disputes, and this is one of the primary sources of contention from lease agreements. Disputes over terms, conditions, interpretations of the lease can strain the relationship between landlords and tenants. And these disputes may involve rent increases, maintenance responsibilities, that's a huge one, and other clauses within the lease. We also see oftentimes eviction proceedings, and evictions are a challenging and sensitive area. No one likes to hand them out. No one likes to be the receiver of them either. For landlords, ensuring lawful eviction processes is crucial, and any missteps can lead to legal complications. While on the other hand, tenants may face unjust or illegal eviction attempts, emphasizing the need for legal protection. Property damage claims, and that's one I'm pretty familiar with. Determining responsibility for property damage can be a tough issue. It can be hard to navigate. There's a lot of documentation that goes in place and things of that nature. Landlords may need assistance in addressing damage caused by tenants or navigating insurance claims. Alternatively, tenants also may need guidance in understanding their liability and damages. We've also got compliance with housing laws. Landscape of housing laws and regulations is complex and it's ever changing. Both landlords and tenants need to stay abreast of local, state, and federal laws to ensure compliance, and violations can lead to legal consequences for both parties. Security deposit disputes. This is another really common one. A lot of times landlords will try to keep your security deposit, and alternatively, tenants will think they need to get it back and don't deserve to have it back. Security deposits often become a point of contention. Landlords face the challenge of justifying deductions, while tenants may dispute the validity of the deductions, and legal guidance can become crucial to navigating these disagreements. Fair Housing Act compliance. Fair Housing Act is paramount. Discrimination clauses, whether perceived or real, can have severe legal consequences, and both landlords and tenants benefit from understanding and adhering to fair housing regulations. There are several benefits of timely legal advice, and one thing with LegalShield is it is a service where, and I'll kind of go through the website and show you how the service is kind of set up and stuff, but it is super easy to use. It's a quick process. You actually get a lot of information from the attorneys in a very timely manner. In most cases, they'll call you back within 4 hours, depending on whatever your situation is. But there are a lot of reasons why you would want to have timely advice, and as opposed to, oh, I'm going to Google this for the next 50 years and see what I can find out on my own. Because I don't know if you guys have been down the Google rabbit hole and pages and pages and pages of this is how you should do it, but no, this is really how you should do it. And what you really should do is talk to a professional who knows what they're doing, so that you're not wasting your time and, messing up with your, case or what have you. So there is benefit to preventing legal battles, making informed decisions, navigating legal proceedings, and mitigating damage disputes. As far as LegalShield for landlords, the financial impact on landlords. For landlords, legal mistakes can translate into significant financial losses. I'm gonna go back here. Imagine the consequences of improperly executing an eviction process. You get one of those timings wrong, you get one of the servings wrong, and you're starting over. There are certain protocols for all of the legal things, and that's where LegalShield can really come in and help you get those things together. Legal proceedings, potential fines, even the possibility of compensating a tenant can lead to substantial financial setbacks. And moreover, disputes over property damage or lease violations can escalate, resulting in costly legal battles. Property damage and repair disputes. It's hard to really, when you're in the heat of things and you just had a tenant move out or something, it's hard to pinpoint where the damage is, whose responsibility that damage is. And without proper legal guidance, landlords can find themselves footing the bill for damages that tenants should be responsible for. And alternatively, tenants may face unjust charges for damages they did not cause. Security deposit disputes can be particularly contentious, and landlords may face legal repercussions for mishandling security deposits. That's something that I see all the time on Facebook and Nextdoor, especially Nextdoor. I see so many posts about evictions and my landlord's doing this. My landlord entered my property without permission, didn't give the proper notice, all of those types of things. Very common threads on social media, but security deposits is definitely a big one of them. Security deposits, while some people may think that, $1,000 for the security deposit is not going to hurt the tenants by keeping it and things like that, you have to have documentation of all these things. You have to follow the legal guidelines regarding those things, or you could be held responsible and actually end up paying them more than what that security deposit withholding is. There's also legal repercussions for tenants, and on the tenant side, legal mistakes can result in wrongful evictions, loss of housing, financial strain, being unaware of one's rights, or failing to respond appropriately to eviction notices and demand notices can lead to significant disruptions in tenants' lives. And there's an emotional toll that takes place on both parties. It's not just financial implications. Legal disputes really do take an emotional toll. I know that in my current circumstance, I feel upset. I feel upset at the tenants. I feel upset at myself. I feel, when you're dealing with money and when you're dealing with other people, there are so many things that go into it aside from just the money. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of, heartache and heartfelt emotions that go into any kind of thing when it comes to your money, and not only money, the relationships that you've built. Highlighting these potential outcomes, we underscore the significance of avoiding legal mistakes through proactive legal guidance, which is great. As far as preventing legal battles, timely guidance helps landlords and tenants address issues before they can escalate into disputes that can end up in court. So oftentimes with the help of LegalShield, you can start a process of whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So let's say you're, in hopes of this mitigating a property damage dispute. LegalShield will help you get the ball rolling on however you want to proceed with your claim or case, if you will, and they'll guide you through the process of, meeting with teams in order to resolve things before they become huge court cases and all of these things. Informed decision making. LegalShield provides a valuable resource for informed decision making. You can seek guidance on lease agreements, ensuring that terms are clear and enforceable. And that's really an important thing, is to make sure that things are very clear, that you have a you have a plan of action if something goes south. And alternatively, tenants can also understand their rights, allowing for empowered decision-making in various situations, from, again, lease disputes to security deposit concerns. Navigating legal proceedings like evictions. For landlords, navigating the eviction process can be complex, and there are a lot of legal requirements. There comes to a point where you're serving each person involved, where you're then, getting a notice of demand posted on the door 10 days before, the last amount of rent is due, going to the actual legal proceedings and all that stuff for the evictions. And then once the eviction is granted, you have to get, I think they call it a writ of restitution, where they get the tenants out of the house. Then what they do with all that property that's sitting on your front yard, well, they obviously don't have the money. They didn't have the money to pay the rent. It's going to be hard for them to get all their crap out of the yard. So there are a lot of things that LegalShield can advise on that, and just understanding the process of how things go. And that's where LegalShield really comes in as a handy tool. As far as mitigating damage disputes in the event of property damage, having legal guidance helps landlords determine whose responsibility it is and what actions to take. It's important, I think, to talk to your legal professional through LegalShield while you're in before there's a property damage dispute. And the reason for that is because after you've already had a property damage dispute and they've already, moved out and you've got new tenants, or you've sold your property or whatever, there are still guidelines that have to be followed in order to collect on the damage dispute. And so if you haven't collected all those things before your new tenants have moved in, before, you've sold that property, it's very hard to then go back and say, oh, I actually need to get in there. I need to get in there and take pictures of everything, when you've already done all the restorations and stuff. It's a lot more difficult if you're not properly documenting all of these things. So it's important to know what to document and those types of things. As far as the Fair Housing Act compliance, landlords can benefit from LegalShield's expertise in navigating fair housing laws, ensuring the policies are compliant and avoid costly discrimination claims. Even if there's a tenant who is saying something is, like a discrimination claim or something like that, anyone can say something. And that's one great benefit to having LegalShield, is then don't have to be scrambling like, oh my God, I need a lawyer. I've been accused of XYZ. And then you find out, it was just your tenant trying to get out of paying rent or something of that nature, because that really does happen. That's actually happened to me twice. So it's not a pretty picture. It's not something fun to go through, but LegalShield really does offer excellent advice and help with all of these things to kind of go through. And then the biggest thing that LegalShield can offer you is peace of mind. I mean, there is peace of mind that comes with knowing you have access to legal support when you need it. There are times when I've had situations come up within my business and I'm like, oh my God, I do not know what to do. I'm naturally a worrier. I've shared this with Jen, probably knows me best here, and she knows that I'm like constantly worrying. And some people say that's like really bad, you shouldn't worry and stuff, but it's so hard when you have so much invested in these properties, is so much invested emotionally. It's not just a financial thing, it's an emotional thing as well. So having a good team to back you up is definitely helpful. One of the foundational elements of landlord-tenant relationships is the lease agreement, and LegalShield offers crucial services like reviewing lease agreements to ensure they're clear, enforceable, and compliant with laws. It's a proactive step. So when you have a lease, you can forward that lease to your legal team and they will review it for you. Now, I want to clarify that a lot of times people think that LegalShield, you have an attorney there, they're doing everything for you. They're filling out the forms, they're processing the evictions and stuff like that. That's not really how LegalShield works. What they do is they offer advice. So if you have a contract, they'll review a contract for you. They'll help you when you're filling out forms. If you have questions about a lot of the terminology. I know when I'm going through like insurance stuff, people are like, you lost me. I don't know what you're talking about. And that's when it really comes down to having a professional who knows the terms, who knows how to explain them to you, like understandably, and not have to try to figure out legal mumbo jumbo on your own. There's a lot of words and stuff that we don't speak. Realistically, I mean, some people probably do, and Google and Chat GPT, all these things, but to have somebody to call is really a huge benefit. Navigating the eviction process can be a daunting task. LegalShield provides invaluable assistance in ensuring that they're carried out lawfully in accordance with legal requirements, from serving notices, like I mentioned before, to understanding the specific eviction laws in your jurisdiction. So even if you live in a different state than your property is in, they have resources across the nation in order to help you. For instance, I'm in Nebraska. I owned a home in Colorado, and in Colorado is the home that have gone through heck and back with. And so I called my LegalShield team in Nebraska, and they sent me up with the LegalShield team in Colorado to make sure that I have all of the correct jurisdiction requirements and rules, laws, all those types of things. So they're there to guide you and guide landlords every step of the way. And they really do work with you every step of the way. I think having used LegalShield myself, there have been a lot of things that I've been like, oh my gosh, I just have no idea. And sometimes I feel dumb. Honestly, sometimes I just feel so stupid for not knowing what, a writ of restitution is and all these things. Like, I'm 40 something, I should know these things. Reality, I'm not a lawyer. I'm an insurance girl. I don't know what those things are. So to have somebody who I can just call and get a phone call back 4 hours later is extremely helpful. In the unfortunate event of property damage, determining responsibility and taking appropriate action is crucial. LegalShield aids landlords in understanding their rights and options when it comes to property damage claims, whether that's pursuing compensation or handling disputes with tenants. Having your legal expertise team at your fingertip is definitely a game changer. The legal landscape governing rental properties is multifaceted and it's dynamic. LegalShield assists landlords in staying compliant with local, state, and federal housing laws, including providing guidance on fair housing practices, helping landlords avoid potential legal pitfalls, and that related to discrimination, ensuring their policies align with regulations. How to use LegalShield. Let me pop out of here real quick and yeah. Can you guys see my screen here?
Yes.
Right. Okay, perfect. So I am a Legal Plan family member. I have the small business product along with my LegalShield membership. And the small business product, there are two different ways you can go about it. You can add a home-based business plan, or you can add a small business plan. It really depends on what your specific needs are. For myself, having the rental property and having the insurance agency, because I don't have any formal employees, I only have 1099 contractors on my team. I didn't need the small business plan. So I did go with the home business plan. And this plan is something that covers both myself and my husband. So it's an excellent value. It's something that we both are able to use, and we're both, able to touch base with an attorney, and they're able to help us for a reasonable cost on that. With LegalShield, there are a bunch of different membership types. You can go with like business builders, regular LegalShield. There's ID Shield policies. I'm also a big fan of ID Shield. Well, there are times with your regular insurance policies or through your credit cards, things like that, you can purchase identity protection. There are a lot of times that's very limited. It covers a very small amount. I don't personally see a huge value in it. If you don't have other services, then it may be worth it, because there are so many times that IDs get stolen these days. And it's not just your credit card gets stolen. There are a lot of ways your identity can get stolen without you even really realizing it until 7 years later when they're trying to collect on a debt. And one way that happens is through medical ID stealing. And that's actually something that's becoming increasingly common, and it's very scary because you don't immediately get correspondence. Whereas if you were to open a credit card or something like that, you would credit karma or like Experian credit monitoring, things like that. You get a notice as, oh my gosh, you got a new credit card. Congratulations, your score went up because now you have more debt to income ratio or what have you. With medical bills, it's reported differently. So you don't always see those things come up. But if there were an instance where, a couple of years down the road, a year down the road, even, months down the road, what have you, you become aware that your identity has been stolen, there are resources through the LegalShield plans in order to help you with those types of things. Small business plans are available. They can help you with legal matters, access legal consultations, documents, contract reviews, debt collection letters. This is something that I'm constantly, again, seeing on Facebook, because I do follow a lot of, small business owner type pages. They are constantly on there saying, I had a contract with another person. They just completely quit. They didn't provide the services, or these folks have provided services and are not getting paid from the person they entered the contract with. LegalShield will help you with draft collection letters, legal forms, and other features. It's actually really a very cool thing. There are policies for commercial drivers. This is something we see a lot of actually too, especially on my end, being in insurance and having commercial drivers. There are a lot of implications when you're driving big trucks and big rigs and things like that. They're harder to handle. People don't respect these big rigs on the road. And the first person they place blame on is obviously going to be the big truck instead of them, brake checking or going around this huge giant truck and then getting smashed into from behind because they didn't give themselves enough time or room or any of those things. In addition to the LegalShield plan, there are supplements that you can add on there. One that I think is, a good thing to have is gun owner supplements. On the gun owner supplements, even with your homeowner's insurance and having liability protection and stuff like that, there are a lot of things that come into play with gun ownership. There are a lot of programs that offer supplement type insurances for gun ownership. But this is something that's, I think is good to have if you are a gun owner, if you need advice, and kind of the peace of mind portion that it goes back to. As far as the LegalShield goes, it's really a neat product because within LegalShield, they actually give you a lot of tools so that you can do some of this stuff on your own, like, for instance, the forms portal. I think this is something that's great. It's something that I've used often, but you can search through, let's say, a state. So Colorado, we want to look at landlord and tenant stuff. They have a residential lease agreement. It gives you all of the, fill in the blank type stuff. It provides you with a great deal of information, really important things that you might not think of when you just do Google, a lease agreement. Because while some of those may be great and have everything you need, there are some, like, for instance, when I rented out my property in Colorado Springs, I didn't even know LegalShield was a thing. I think I was 24 years old when I went into this contract with a lady, and I had just Googled a lease agreement, and turns out it was junk. And I learned a big lesson there. And then I used that same one on a different because I didn't know better. But now having, resources, and in those days, things were a little bit different. It wasn't like you just, go on Google and it has everything you could possibly imagine at your fingertips. I mean, then we didn't really even use the internet a lot. Granted, this was only 20 some odd years ago, but a lot changes in that amount of time. So there are a lot of resources as far as forms. There's also, as far as the LegalShield portion goes, there are also other benefits that you can get, and that is things like perks. There are perks that are available when you're a LegalShield member, and you can get 5% off rewards points when you shop fitness and gear, and 10% off certain things, 20% off baby food. So there are a lot of other little perks that you can use. Honestly, I haven't really taken advantage of these. I probably should more. I think they are really good and a good way to go about buying things. And, especially like, let's say, you need to, you just evicted somebody, your place is trashed, and you need to get some flooring or something. There's possibility for discounts and stuff when you go that route. But when you get on the LegalShield site, this is what you pretty much are looking at. And you can go in here to get help now and request a consultation. When you request a consultation, you can do things like estate planning, consumer rights, landlord tenant, traffic. And within all of these, you can get consultations on more than just obviously landlord and tenant things. If you have a traffic dispute, I've seen a lot of people have success with, negotiating points and things of that nature when it comes to, your driver's license and types of accidents, things of that nature. But you can also have your LegalShield team review real estate contracts, review guarantees and warranty contracts. LegalShield offers estate planning, and the estate planning is actually, the wills are actually free. And wills in 2020, I think the search for wills went up like 65%. The one thing about LegalShield is even if you don't want to proceed, forever, you just want to try LegalShield, or you have, certain situations where you might think it'd be a benefit, and then later down the road you decide to cancel it, you still have a will at least. And there is no charge for the will. It is a great product. And all you have to do is fill it out, send it in, they review it, they ask you questions, they make sure everything is exactly how you want it. And then you bring it to your bank to be notarized or stuff like that. I think having a living will, power of attorney, and wills are really important when you're in real estate, because what happens when you're the only person who owns this piece of property, or when you and your spouse own a piece of property and you're both in a car accident and can't act on your own behalf? To have somebody who can navigate those things for you through a power of attorney, or navigate your own health through your living will, or navigate what happens to a property after you're passing, things like that, to have a will, are all really important things that everyone should be aware of, and taking the steps to completing. The wills and stuff are super easy. I've done it. It was not any kind of crazy thing. It was easy enough for me to understand. When I had a question, I just contacted the team. That it was just by email, super easy. They just respond to you with whatever it is that you need, and it's a great way to protect yourself, protect your properties, your interests, protect your tenants, and all of those types of things. For the consumer rights, it could be involving a dispute with a purchase or service from a company or the government. They'll help you with IRS audits, actually, with LegalShield, which is great. They'll help you with warranty issues, insurance, tax or credit disputes, tax or credit repair, bankruptcies, vehicle financing issues, which is actually more common than I have ever imagined. I think a lot of people who are kind of get in a vehicle over a weekend and then they get the contract and they're like, wait a second, that's not the terms that we agreed to. And we've all been at a car dealership, I'm sure, and heard, oh yeah, your monthly payment will be $75 a month, because they like to sugarcoat things. And then you get the car and you're like, wait a second, why am I paying $495 a month? There are a lot of shady practices when it comes to vehicle purchasing and financing and stuff like that. So it is a great service that's offered by LegalShield. Same with payday loans, title loans, those types of things. But when it comes to landlords and tenants, they offer lease reviews, security deposits, letters, things of that nature, repairs, evictions, unsafe living conditions, how to address all of those things. And then there are other things that you can go into, like collections, consumer rights, contracts, things like that. I personally have used LegalShield for my small business, but I have also, like I said, used it for my rental property. Let me get back to pop that up. So recently I was landlord of a property in Colorado Springs, and it was, when I lived there, it was a beautiful home. It was my first home. It was very exciting to get into. And then my husband got transferred from Colorado Springs to Denver. This was in 2008. And so at that time, gas was like $4.50 a gallon, and we drove a Jeep that got 16 miles per gallon. And we were very young at the time. We couldn't afford to live in Colorado Springs and commute an hour and a half, almost 2 hours every day to Denver for his work. It was very expensive. We were never together. And so we had made the decision at that time to rent our home. And the first tenant we got was terrible. Just be straight up honest. The first tenant we got was terrible. She had called the county and said that we had, failed to provide safe living conditions and things like that. Well, the county did come out and they said, you have one electric cord hanging down, fix that and you're good to go. She still had to pay rent and all of those things. The second tenants we had, so they were with us for a year and they were 2 weeks late on rent every month. And so when it came time for them to leave, we kept their security deposit because that was the fees that were accumulating from the late payments and stuff of that nature. So it was a big blow up at the end, but I couldn't take them to court. They couldn't take me to court. We were both two very low income, if you will, families, and didn't have the resources for that. The second set of tenants I got was only there for 2 months. In those 2 months, they didn't pay rent, put ketchup all over the walls. It looked like a murder scene when I went in there. They removed the banister and the stairs from the property, the balcony stairs, which was very odd. That's the second time that's happened to me in that house. I don't understand why people do that, but that's what happened. This third time, I had my tenants in that property for 13 years. And they just left on September 1st. And when I got to the property, immediately there was all kinds of trash and debris outside. There were bricks missing from the home, just total general disrepair. The garage door was kicked in or backed into, so the garage door didn't work. The kitchen cabinets were taken apart. You could see the walls were just absolutely filthy, like nothing I'd ever seen. I didn't know how people could actually live in conditions like that, but I guess they do. stained carpet, holes in the carpet, just complete repair on that stuff. Oh, sorry, my battery's running low here. So just repair on all of that stuff. And then, oh, sorry, hold on 1 second. Of course. Bear with me 1 quick second, I'm sorry.
Just so glad that you have LegalShield, Amber.
I know, I am too now. Of course, my cord got all messed up under here. There we go.
Maybe
I think we may have lost her.
lost her.
She might try to jump back on. So while we wait for her to jump back on, because can't wait to see all the horrific pictures she has plans for us. Do either of you have any questions for John and I while Amber is getting patched back in?
I have a quick question. One of the things that comes to mind is, if I'm understanding what Amber is saying, the LegalShield is sort of your first line of defense, right? You're not actually having an attorney on retainer specifically. These are people that are fielding questions for you as part of that. I'm assuming it's a monthly fee is what from the quick screen, but not necessarily should something go require more legal finesse, you would not rely on the LegalShield. You would actually hire attorney. I'm picking, is that the gist of it? They're helping with more of the if I said simple, I don't mean it to make it sound dumb, but the more day-to-day or routine things that have relatively quick answers, point you in the right direction.
Amber has arrived at the perfect time. She's reconnecting to answer.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It literally flashed your battery, and then 1 second later it was like that.
Wow.
Sorry about that. Will you re-enable host sharing for me, Jen?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jen Roberts was just asking a really good question, and it was about if you really need like legal representation.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about this specific nightmare that you've gone through, because it sounded like they were able to help you, but I don't know if it's because this is maybe a small claims kind of situation. But Jen, if you want to ask that question to Amber.
Oh, yeah, I was just simply asking if you're using LegalShield as that, like a buffer. I think what came to mind is first line of defense, so that you aren't necessarily keeping one specific attorney on retainer the way you might to handle I don't know, a larger legal issue, a more complex legal issue,
Right.
or court representation or something like that.
Yeah.
Am I thinking about it correctly?
Yeah, so they do offer court representation at discounted fees. So it really is depending on what type of services you're needing.
Okay.
There are services that they help with that are more common, like undisputed divorces, undisputed custody agreement, those types of things. But when it comes to like civil defense and things like that, there are services that are available along with the consultation and forms and helping you through that process.
Okay.
And if you need an attorney to appear with you, there are attorneys who will do that, and there are discounted fees for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings up a good point. I was just on the phone with my LegalShield team today and discussing this, and what ultimately ended up happening is I do plan on taking these folks to small claims court. And part of that is because there are regular things, regular wear and tear, all of those things, and I totally understand that. And I'm flexible. I was super nice as a landlord. I was actually probably too nice. I gave them till the 15th of each month to pay their rent, and just really wanted to have somebody in there who valued what I was able to offer, and where it was mutually beneficial. And I'd been had. So now I'm like I was mentioning earlier, it's not just the financial part. I'm upset. I'm emotionally upset about this because I, offered my home to somebody at a very affordable rate in Colorado. I only charge these folks $1,000 a month for the first 10 years that they were in there. This year, I only charged them. I increased the rent to $1,200. For a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home in Colorado Springs, wow. Extremely reasonable. And the reason why I did that is because I felt like we had a good relationship. I felt like I was able to help them. They were taking care of my property, all of these things. And I was bamboozled. It was awful. So in the kitchen, here in the kitchen, you can see right here, there's some floorboards that are coming up. Well, underneath the sink, they apparently had a leak, and a combination with taking off all the cabinet doors, but they apparently had a leak that leaked down into the basement and caused black mold. And so, with all of these expenses and stuff, there was no way I was going to fork out, $100,000 to bring this back up to living condition. So my husband and I ultimately decided to sell the property as is. And so not only did we lose the rental income for this property for years to come, we lost on, probably $100,000 of equity. What we would have made if the home was inhabitable condition. And so when I talked to the legal team, they said, yes, you could certainly take these folks to, civil courts where the maximum you can collect is $25,000, or you can do something like small claims court where the maximum is $7,500. They are helping me to prepare all the forms, to get the process correct, to do the filings, to do the servings, all of those things, which is so helpful because it's a long process. It's not just like Judge Judy. I wish I was not Judge Judy. She could just be like, then her team pays me, and they, everyone gets an appearance fee and whatnot, but that's just not really how it goes. So they are very helpful in working with you on, mitigating these things, doing the lease reviews and all of those things. I'm very satisfied with the services. I've had this program for, well, I've had this agency now for 6 years, going on 7 years. I was with Farmers Insurance before that, and so they helped us with the contracts, purchasing that agency and going that route, and then helping me set up this business, because again, there are business packages that you can get that help you with a lot of things. But it's been an invaluable service to me. It's been something that makes me feel reassurance that what I'm doing is okay. It's helped me with 1099 contracts. They've helped me with legal matters as far as the tenants go. They've helped me with some custody things when my husband was going through child support stuff and things of that nature. So it's been for me a great deal of comfort, and the price is affordable, something that I as a small business owner could afford. First off, when I'm starting a sales commission only type job, you don't just get an hourly wage. So these types of services need to be affordable for folks, and I really feel like they are. So it's been a really great experience for me. There are several different ways you can get LegalShield. You can go to LegalShield.com. They have all the information. I've also got a direct link that you can copy down if you're interested. And of course, if you have any additional questions and stuff, I am available for that. John, did
Thank
you
you.
mention? Yeah, absolutely. John, did you mention that you had some questions?
I just wanted to know if I had a lease, for instance, somebody was sending me a lease and I shot it over to LegalShield, what's the turnaround time for them to review it and make any comments?
You know, it's actually very quick. It does depend on, you know, where the services are being offered. So I can speak to Colorado, I can speak to Nebraska, places like Florida, those other type of states, you know, obviously other than Colorado and Nebraska, I can't speak to as you know, with as much certainty, but I've had phone calls back within 4 hours for the consultations that I've had, and I've had same day responses on the contracts and stuff that I've had them look over. It is an easy process. When you go into the LegalShield platform, you can do request a request a new consultation. You do something like landlord tenant lease review, and then you can continue through and load up you do your description. So lease review, let's just say. And then you continue, and then you answer a few little questions about this, and then you can list the tenants, and they do that. They want to know why, you know, who the tenants are and whatnot. So they do run these through to see like if there's any conflict of interest, if things have already been started or whatnot. And then you can upload images and files. The turnaround time is very quick. I haven't, like I said, had any kind of issue with turnaround, which is important because like when you're working with a real estate contract, obviously, or when you're working with, you know, a new car contract, all of those types of things, you don't want to be waiting there forever. You know, that's stupid. Who wants to do that? So absolutely, they're pretty quick on that stuff.
Amber, would you be able to, the link that you had on that last PowerPoint, which is the link to LegalShield, to access it, is there a way to copy that and paste it and put it in our chat so that if anybody click on it, they can?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I do recommend LegalShield for my clients who are new landlords, new kind of circumstances where they're thinking about checking out, you know, being a landlord, those types of things, because you want to get this all done before there becomes an issue. You know, a lot of times I think, I've had several friends who, you know, unfortunately have got divorced and whatnot, and, you know, they get in this big dispute and stuff, and they think, oh, I'm going to hire LegalShield to handle it. You do have to be a LegalShield member before you can just hop in and, you know, using your resources for everything. There is a waiting period for certain things like divorces and things like that. So it is important to know about those types of things, and you know, every case is a little different, obviously, but important to have.
Is Business Builder, is that like a package deal, or you know, I'm just thinking like if you only need something for like 1 month and advice for 1 month to get something set up, is it possible to just buy that one thing and then take it off?
Yeah, absolutely, you can do that. The Business Builder portion is pretty interesting. It does come with the well, this Business Builder is actually a little different. This Business Builder is for people who want to sell LegalShield and become an associate. You start with the Business Builder bundle. It includes the legal and ID Shield products and the associate startup kit. Within LegalShield, there are small business packages, like the Business Plus supplement. And within that, they give you tools on how to grow your business. They do online business consultations, customer relationship management tools and contacts to help you manage your contacts and potential customers, business forms, a website builder. And so they have some different resources available for you as you're starting to grow your business and, you know, develop in your small business.
Very nice.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Perfect.
You
Perfect.
Ones I've been thinking of, so.
Well, thank you guys for being patient as I went through my battery flub. I've never had that happen before.
Well, it's the first time for everything, so.
Yes, yeah.
If you happen to have any questions, you're muted right now, but if you have any, we'd love to hear them.
That's no.
Alex is cool.
Well, and if you guys do have questions down the road, or you wanted to speak more about it, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you in any way that I can.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And there are things within your standard insurance policies that help with like the liability portion on your end for certain things. Like if you're a landlord on your insurance policy, you would want to have something called personal injury. Personal injury is a coverage that helps you if you're accused of things like libel, slander, wrongful entry, unlawful eviction, things of that nature. And so those are important coverages to have on your insurance policy. So that's why it's a good benefit to have supplementals, things like the LegalShield plan, but it's also very important to review your insurance policies with your trusted insurance agent or insurance professional so that they can guide you on the things that really are going to be superior benefit to you.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, friends, I need to sign off because my day starts pretty early in the morning. So I'm going to say good night and thank you, Amber, for the presentation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Well, John, you don't have any other questions for her?
You're on mute, but
He
that's
answered everything else.
perfect.
Alex, do you have any questions? This reminds me of the online teaching during COVID. Were they really there?
Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We were really excited to have you with us, and please feel free to let me know if you have any additional questions or if there's anything else that we can help you with.
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna finish out with if I can find the right screen, with our presentation, our typical. So our next meeting is on Tuesday, November 28th at 7 p.m. We aren't certain yet on presenter and topic, so let that be a mystical intriguing thing to bring you back. I have to be posting it tomorrow, as we do like to announce these at least 2 weeks in advance. But you can RSVP. There will be a new Zoom link on Meetup for that. You can also follow and chat with us during the week on our Facebook group that's here. And just like this is being recorded, we have some past resources and presentations that we've recorded and put up on our YouTube channel. And those can be found here at this address at House Hunting and Hacking. So we'd love to have you guys back. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us through our Facebook. And we look forward to seeing you again. But thanks for coming. Have a good evening.